Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 9 Episode 1. Today we're going to be doing my review / breakdown for the final season's premiere, aka Season 9 Episode 1. We've got so much to talk about, so much happened, but we especially have to talk about both of those cliffhangers at the end of the episode, so stick around as we talk about everything that went down in the episode. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Alright guys, The Flash is back. So excited to be doing review videos again. Obviously my trailer breakdown for episode 2 of season 9 is going to be up tomorrow, so please be sure to turn on notifications to not miss that video, and obviously next week's review after the episode comes out, which should be just 1 hour after the episode comes out. That is just what we're going to be doing week to week after every episode. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. So the beginning of the episode definitely took me off guard with the lava face kind of creature that we saw. I think that's the way that they referred to it. But it turned out, even though this seemed quite real and it seemed like something that could happen, it was actually all a dream. And so Barry wakes up, but in this moment he sees Team Flash working together against Lava Face. Although this opening was like a little bit cringe because of some of the one-liners that all of the characters individually had, but it actually worked as a good way to set up the episode. So basically establishes that it's Wednesday and Barry keeps on having these nightmares, and it's the same nightmare over and over again, and he keeps on waking up. That's where we see Barry with Iris, and Iris is getting ready for work. It's been 7 days since the season 8 finale, since Iris returned to obviously our plane of existence. And that's pretty much where we go with that. We'll get back to Barry and Iris in a minute because this is a Barry and Iris heavy episode, like full on West Island, and they have fun with it. Okay, so we go to Cecile at Star Labs. She is trying to train herself to basically be able to utilize her telekinetic powers better, and this is a repeating thing throughout the episode. I'm not going to go back to this, but basically later in the episode, Joe actually reveals he wants to leave Central City, and that's the big revelation in terms of their story together. We'll have to wait and see if they do move. I don't know where they could move, but we know that Joe this season, Jesse L. Martin, is going to be a recurring character, so he's not going to be in all 13 episodes. So let's get back to Iris, because Iris is at CC Citizen Media, and that's where we get the reveal from Allegra that Cat Grant from Catco, from Supergirl, so mini Supergirl crossover here, is interested in basically writing Iris a blank check, basically to integrate CC Citizen Media into what she's doing with Catco. And so obviously that is a huge deal, because basically this could define a new path for Iris and the future of obviously her journalism company and what she does. But clearly she isn't into this, and they make a point out of that throughout the entire episode, that she wants to forge her own path. And so yeah, I just really like this small Supergirl crossover with the many references in this episode to Cat Grant. Shame we couldn't actually see her, but a mention is good enough. Perhaps this actually has something to do with the reason why Nia now shows up later in the season, because obviously Nia works for Catco. And so maybe there is a link, because we know the story is going to be between her and Iris. So I wonder if Cat Grant actually sends Nia, and that's why she meets Iris. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so Barry's actually applying to be the director of CCPD or something like that. I actually didn't catch exactly what the promotion was, but basically as we go throughout this time loop, we get various versions of this scene. One version, things don't turn out very well for Barry, but in the first version, it seems like he's going to get the recommendation. Then the last version, Iris helps him out. So turns out for the best. And obviously this is a big deal, because this has been predicted to actually be a thing, him getting that upgrade within CCPD, and so he's pretty set on getting that. Okay, so after this we get the introduction of the new Captain Boomerang, who is Owen Mercer. Obviously if you know the comics, you know that there is various versions of Captain Boomerang. Owen Mercer is one of them, and apparently he's just described as this run-of-the-mill baddie. But obviously he has a lot more high-tech abilities than one would suppose someone like him would have, and that's obviously because he's got a partner, but they don't figure that out until later in the episode. And so Barry is hit by a wave of something. And this is what kicks off the time loop in the episode. And so Barry at first doesn't really think much of it, and he even tells Team Flash to go take a day off because he wants to spend the rest of the day with Iris. Obviously they had a great previous 7 days. But what Barry's been mentioning to Iris is kind of making her a bit uneasy, as she isn't into this idea of Barry having this book about the future. But Barry clearly thinks it's a good idea, and so he basically explains this book is a way for them to see the good and bad before it happens. And he also tells Iris that she is due to get pregnant in 3 months. She's also going to win 2 Pulitzers. Also in one of the pages we know that Sue Dearborn actually takes over Big Belly Burger and makes it fully plant-based. Shout out to the vegans out there. And then also she becomes the world's richest woman. So that is just some future snippets from the book. Obviously Barry does end up burning the book, as we'll get into in just a minute. But whilst I still have you guys, I gotta skip to the end. We're gonna go back to everything to do with Iris being disillusioned from her normal life, and basically all the time loop stuff, like repeating over and over again. It was very stylistically very cool. But I'm gonna skip to the end because I know that you guys want to actually hear about the Caitlyn stuff and also the final scene of the episode. We're gonna get to all of that very soon, but let's talk about Caitlyn. So Barry gets a notification on his phone that Caitlyn is calling him from within Star Labs, and you see someone that looks like Caitlyn, and it is Danielle Panabaker, but it's actually some sort of hybrid between Caitlyn and Frost, and so she looks really cool with this new getup. She's got blue streaks in her hair. I like the shade of it, and also it's very mysterious because Barry seemingly assumes that it's someone completely new and that it's not someone that he knows. It's not the Caitlyn or Frost that he knows, and so we can presume that this is the result of the experiment that they've been doing. They've somehow successfully got Frost to come back, but now they are combined, and maybe more like the past version of Caitlyn that we had when Frost was actually within inside of her, rather than like an actual physical person that was literally different. So I kind of liked where this is going. I think this cliffhanger for Caitlyn is very intriguing because, as I said, Barry kind of assumes it's someone completely new, so we'll have to get into the nitty-gritty as to what's going on there. But let's skip back and go back chronologically throughout this episode. So yes, we're in the time loop. Barry faces off against Captain Boomerang again. He goes back to the job. Iris goes back to CC Citizen Media, and even at one point when Captain Boomerang is facing off against Barry, there is an explosion and Barry gets killed. Barry says to Iris when they wake up that he thinks he just died. So clearly the stakes are high, but even dying in the time loop obviously isn't very effective because he is alive. And so you have to mention at this point that Barry is becoming very obsessed with the future, which actually follows on from season 7 when Abracadabra showed up, and he also noted in that episode that Barry becomes obsessed with the future. And so is this coming true? This is something that me and Flashverse actually discussed in our watch party that we did on his channel, watching the episode live. So yeah, very interesting. But Barry clearly overcomes that by the end of the episode, so obviously that prophecy doesn't come fully true. So Barry and Iris at this point go to Team Flash and they reveal what's been going on, and they try to actually figure out what's going on. And Cecile makes this like weird Groundhog Day reference, like it's so obvious, but anyway, that was kind of cringe. But we get big revelations in terms of what the actual thing that is affecting Barry and Iris is. It's basically a particle accelerator, but portable, is the thing that actually sent the shockwave of tachyons that affected Barry and obviously affected Iris because they were so close together when it actually activated. But what is the real reason that this version of Captain Boomerang wants these tachyons? We'll get into that in a minute because I'm pretty sure I know exactly what's going on. And so let's continue with this because Iris gets kind of tipsy, kind of drunk, and is slightly losing her mind, but Barry keeps on failing to save the day, so it kind of makes sense. Like, what else are you gonna do in such a situation? And so Barry thinks that they need to still follow the timeline and what the map book says, and this is where they get into an argument because Iris obviously doesn't want to accept that this is exactly what they have to do because it's literally mapping their future out in front of them. like even Barry thinks that Iris needs to accept Cat Grant's offer, and that might be one of the things holding them back, and that maybe this isn't a conventional time loop. And so Iris just wants to choose the future. That's what she reveals to Barry. So Barry runs around the city, contemplates a little bit. He's obsessed with the future. Joe tells him at one point just after this that Iris might not be happy, and the book doesn't tell you everything about what exactly happens. And Barry should actually know this from experience. Like, if you change something, it's obviously not going to be exactly what you expect, and you never know the ins and outs of absolutely everything. And so I have to pause at this point and say, so far this episode was very good, and I have to say it gets better towards the end of the episode. I like all the West Allen stuff in this episode. I think it's actually very romantic, but obviously they have that conflict that works as well, and I like how funny and kind of kooky they go with the editing, with the time loop. But then also the scene at the swimming pool was so funny. That literally just happens after. And then also at this point when they kind of come together and they realize that they basically need to appreciate every second of their lives together as it happens in the present, rather than thinking just of the future. Even if they live the same day over and over, Barry accepts that this is the way it's supposed to be, and so obviously he goes ahead, he burns the book. Iris is very happy about this, and they get this great kind of West Allen moment that I'm sure fans of West Allen are very excited about. And then they go on and we get this kind of crazy montage of different stuff that they do. Basically, the Coast City Gazette is bought out by Iris and CC Citizen Media. That's going to expand her news empire, which is obviously something that's a big focus on in terms of Iris's story right now, because she's just focusing on the journalism and how to make it as big as possible. And obviously this is a great new step, considering that they're going to get all of the staff from Coast City, and they pretty much just bought out and saved that newspaper. And I guess they have an online section as well, which is pretty big in terms of CC Citizen Media. And so, yeah, then after that you get the Barry and Iris going swimming, just having fun. I love seeing them having fun. I don't know why, but it was just so cool. Then we get Owen Mercer facing off against Barry once again, and he actually sets off a tactical nuke. Now that was something that they weren't expecting, something that I wasn't expecting. I'm sure you weren't. And so basically this nuke is about to go off, and he literally teleports out there. You're like, how can Captain Boomerang teleport? Why does he have all of this tech? It's all very much so up in the air at this point. But the one thing that's consistent is this bomb is going off, and so Barry actually figures he's going to risk his own life to stop this, to save the people of Central City and save everyone around him, including Iris, including Team Flash. And so Barry puts his hand out and touches the device, and he phases through it, and he basically is able to dissipate the nuclear fallout of the bomb, and actually the explosion of the bomb. You literally see it go past, and it goes through everyone. It goes through Iris, it goes through Barry, it goes through civilians, it goes through the rest of Team Flash. But Barry's able to stop it by somehow absorbing it, or like just phasing it out of our plane of existence. I don't know exactly the reason, but at that point, after it goes through Allegra and Chester, we get a mad Chegra scene. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it, because this has been a meme for a long time. Obviously we saw them kiss previously, so this is a real thing, and they went crazy. Like, it was a full-on montage, like 360 view of them kissing, and yeah, wow, that was definitely for the memes. But then let's go back to Captain Boomerang, because he is on the loose, and like I mentioned, with him being loaded with tech, there is the question of who is his partner. And obviously we kind of know who his partner is just by thinking about what we've been told about this season so far and the new version of the Rogues. And so at this point we actually go back to Barry and Iris, because they're going on a pre-baby adventure. They're just like hanging out, having fun, and then they're like, oh, we didn't really get to explore and have fun as newlyweds, so let's do it before you get pregnant. And so this is obviously teasing the birth of Nora sometime in the future. I doubt that we're going to see it in the show. I think it's going to happen off screen I really doubt they actually go fully into that, but that's obviously them teasing the return of Nora, but in baby form rather than future form. And so that's when we get the Joe scene in terms of him wanting to leave Central City, and then chronologically we get the Caitlyn scene, who is, you know, Caitlyn slash Frost as I mentioned before. But the big final scene, the final cliffhanger of the episode that teases the new big bad of this first graphic novel of The Flash Season 9, aka the final season, we get to see Red Death for the first time as Captain Boomerang goes back to his lair, or Red Death's lair, and it turns out they're working together, and Red Death needs the tachyons, and that's why Captain Boomerang does what he does in this episode. And so Red Death, you get to see them for the first time, although we don't actually see the suit because they are phasing the entire time, but you see the red lightning going around their body, and they jump up at one point and they run towards the camera, obviously at a rapid pace, and then literally as the lightning kind of courses all around the body, that's when we cut to black. But we don't just cut to black, we actually get to see the Red Death logo, and it is awesome. It is coursing with red lightning. What a way to end the premiere episode of the final season. I'm most definitely excited for episode 2. Remember guys, tomorrow we're going to be breaking down the trailer that they just released at the end of the episode, so stick around for that video. But for now, hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully you enjoyed this review slash breakdown. Again, we are doing these video reviews as we have done throughout the Flash's many seasons. We're going to be covering it all here on the channel, and I have to say, I would probably give this episode like an 8 out of 10. It was solid, there was some cringy bits, some not so good bits, but I think they really had fun with this episode, and that's what really counts. Plus we got 2 very cool cliffhangers in terms of Caitlyn and Red Death. So in my books, it was a pretty good episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. That pretty much does it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It really helps out the channel. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video. And so I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.